Hi there, and welcome back to Mars X3D. This is your buddy Dave. And Neville Thompson has done a beautiful PDS of Curiosity Sol 753 in Amargosa Valley. And we're going to spend a little bit of time with that today because it's full of great anomalies. And here we see yet another valley filled with shattered remains and mountains on the horizon. The gray tablets on the left, especially the one in back, seem to have carving on them. Is this just another bit of erosion magic? Well, it could be. I'm not going to insist that these are artificial, but of course, my bias, based on experience, is that at least the one in back is. What I find interesting also is whatever that is tucked away in the shadows of that overhanging rock, the one the arrow is pointing at. If those are rock formations, they're totally different from the surrounding sedimentary rock above and all around. Is it possible that this is some kind of a critter? I just don't know. You be the judge of this one. In this context view, it's really not so obvious that there's anything suspicious unless you figure on that square shape that's inside the circle. In detail view number 1, the locator dot on the left draws your attention to a box with kind of a steering wheel coming out of it. There's other stuff too, which we'll look at in a minute. The other locator dot on the right shows a round container sort of like a beehive with rings around it and a square opening. Let's take a closer look. Now to me, that wheel looks like a control yoke you'd find on a light fixed-wing aircraft. Do you see the zigzag item just to the left? What about the rectangular box just in back of it? And the cross-shaped block just in back of that? And look to the left and in front of this whole assembly, and you'll see a perfect pentagram-shaped rock with a knob in the center. I'll give you everything I just listed as a rock, if that's what you want. But the control yoke? No way. Show me any natural process that results in that symmetrical shape. Detail view number 3 shows us the other device. You can see its symmetry, the rings, the circular top, and the perfectly square opening. And there's all kinds of debris in front of it that just, well, it doesn't look natural. I think I'm pretty safe in labeling this one dual devices. Man, I'd just love to stroll along this plane, picking up and examining all the artifacts just lying around. For now, X3D is as close to that as we're going to get. That looks just like a chest sitting there, doesn't it? It's perfectly symmetrical, with a rounded top. And it looks like there's a circle and a couple of lines carved on the top as well. Maybe it's not a box or chest at all. Maybe it's an ornamental stone from a building. Getting in tight, we can faintly see a second circle carved on the front and the two lines crossing the top. I know it's kind of melodramatic calling it Pandora's box, but think about it for a minute. When Pandora's burning curiosity led her to open that magic box, all the woes of the world flew forth from it, never to return. Same thing for NASA. Can you imagine if they announced that they'd found a box or a chest on Mars? That would unleash a storm of debate, to say nothing of the absolute necessity of revising current scientific theory if that were indeed the case. It's a whole lot safer to say nothing at all and let folks just believe it's a random rock. Well, let's wrap things up today with something really bizarre. Over there on the left-hand side, something fairly sizable that needs a closer look. Moving in on it, I was at a loss to understand what I was looking at. The first thing that came to mind was that it was a phaser with a thyroid condition. You know, people used to get giant swollen goiters in their necks because they weren't getting enough iodine in their diet, and that's why they added iodine into salt to create iodized salt, and that stopped the goiters. I'm thinking that's not such a big problem with phasers, however. The shape reminded me of a phaser from Star Trek. Of course, that's not what it is, because this thing is probably at least 3 feet across. Those big black mounds coming out of it look a lot like the compound eyes you find on flies, but they're not eyes, though. there's something else. Moving in really close, you can see that this thing looks like some kind of tool, and it has a pistol grip. The black bulges are smooth. See how they're reflecting the light? If we could only do a targeted, high-res stereo photo of it with Curiosity's mass cams, we might get an answer, but don't hold your breath. Hey, thanks for stopping by and having a look today. There is a whole lot more to come. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And in the meantime, this is your buddy Dave over at Mars X3D. Be well.